Well, going to go over a couple of stories that are really neat. One, first off, unseasonable housing market trends are emerging this fall. That's important because it's not seasonable. This is not normal. This is not a normal market. Markets are starting to turn down in the housing, real estate markets. Then we're going to talk about something out of Wolf Street, home prices falling further from the peak of June 2022. Demand crashes, price cuts jump, and supply and days on the market rise. This is really interesting information because it is not just about really hot markets. It's about the entire country. All right. As a matter of fact, I had dinner with somebody the other night. Says, "Oh, housing is not falling in my area of the country." And I go, "Where do you live?" He says, "Kansas." And I said, "All right, what town?" Tells me. Within 10 seconds, I'm on Realtor.com and I find that about 10% of the listings have price decreases. And he'd say, "Oh, well, that's a bad part of town. Oh, that's about this." I'm like, "You're not getting it." What you just said is not true. And that was just about 10 seconds of my life. It didn't take very long to find these price drops, okay? But this is going to get better. This is not the time to jump in. Look, I've been a real estate investor since the year 2001. I have owned a real estate brokerage, a property management company. I've been a flipper. I have been a real estate agent. I've been just about in every aspect of this. And I'm telling you right now, from a lot of experience in selling my homes before the last crash, seeing that happen, we have something on our hands that is much, much bigger than that. All right, so let's dive right into the first story. And real quick, if you don't mind, this is the Real Estate Ninja channel. This is not the Economic Ninja channel. If you wouldn't mind hitting the subscribe button and that little bell icon, it would help me out. This channel is going to become more fluid and it is going to be encompassing a lot more than just real estate. And it has all different types of stories than what is just on the Economic Ninja channel. So thank you so much. So this story is out of the National Mortgage Professional and it's entitled "Unseasonable Housing Market Trends Emerge This Fall." It says Realtor.com's October report reveals unexpected inventory growth and growing price cuts, suggesting potential market shifts as homebuyers grapple with financial challenges. And financial challenges is an understatement. When we have record high credit card defaults right now and auto loan delinquency rates, we are blowing up. The market is imploding and you are going to see a lot of opportunity here pretty soon. It says despite stable home prices this October, and we're about to get into that in the next story, the housing market is exhibiting signs of potential shifts as a new Realtor.com report highlights unseasonable inventory growth and mounting price reductions. These trends come as mortgage rates surpass a 20-year peak, challenging prospective homebuyers. It says for the fourth consecutive month, there has been a decline in the number of homes actively listed for sale. With inventory dropping 2% year over year, nonetheless, October brought an unexpected inventory rise of 5.1%. An unexpected. Well, this isn't anything that's unexpected to the subscribers of this channel. I've been telling you that inventory will be rising, and it's really neat when they start saying this was unexpected, and because this is not normal for the season of the year that we're in. They go on to say, while record high mortgage rates are putting off many would-be buyers, decreases in both inventory and time home spent on the market shows that some buyers are moving quickly to lock in rates before they can go any higher. This comes from Danielle Hale, a chief economist at Realtor.com. You know, it's really funny to me. Chief economists really don't earn their title. I guess maybe they're the only ones left there because the ones that are worth a grain of salt are out there making real money. But these chief economists are always wrong. Case in point, the chief economists over in the National Association of Realtors. This person was even being blamed for being 100% wrong in 2007, back in 2007. And yet he still has a job. Blows me away. It says here, amid stable listing prices, a gradually increasing share of homes is witnessing price cuts. Although this percentage is down annually, the sequential growth might be an indicator of potential softening in home prices in the upcoming months. Let me explain that because there's a lot of wordsmithing going on that people need to realize here. It says here, amid stable listing prices, a gradual increase of share of homes is witnessing price cuts. This is the key with what they do here. Although this percentage is down annually, let me explain something. If you look at the annual numbers, last year compared to this year for price reductions, they're right. You are going to see that there were fewer price reductions last year as there is this year. That is a no-brainer because the market was red hot last year this time because people were freaking out over rising interest rates, rising mortgage rates. We are at a moment where the 10-year bond, this is something that doesn't happen a whole lot of times in history, where the bond market's running away from where the Federal Reserve wants it to go. Now, the Fed is on record saying, you know what, this is actually not a bad thing because that means we don't have to continually raise our benchmark rate, which causes banks to get more expensive for banks. But the 10-year keeps running away, so it's crushing the consumer when it comes to mortgages and other certain types of debt that are tied to bonds, right? That is very easy to identify. Now, they say here, because high mortgage rates, elevated home prices, and stubbornly low inventory made today's housing market particularly challenging, many of today's buyers are motivated by life changes, such as growing families, supporting elderly parents, or grown children, or accommodating professional needs, from return to office mandates to relocation opportunities created by remote work. This is exactly what I was saying that continually causes and fuels a crisis, a crash. You know, people say that, no, this real estate's never going to go down because inventory is super low. And I said, no, inventory is going to get really strong as fear sets in, and would-be home sellers that have been sitting on the sides with rental properties or extra properties now are seeing, oh my gosh, it turned and we're starting to throw our properties on the market, increasing the inventory. And since there's only a small pool of crazy people out there, and I say crazy, you know, because most real estate deals are bought in emotion. If you're a real estate agent, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're a buyer's agent, it's based off of emotion. You know, I can't tell you how many times I showed a property and somebody cared more about the color of the house, that's why they didn't like it, and that's why they didn't sell it, over, well, what are the bones like? What is the floor plan? Oh, I like the floor plan. It's just the color. You could paint a house. I'm not joking. This is how there's so many emotional buyers out there. And when you're dealing with a rising interest rate environment, it gets even more emotional. And people freak out and just, I'll take it. 10 grand over asking price. I got to get it now, or because all they're seeing is what they lost last month, or what they lost out on. And the FOMO increases the opportunity for a crash. Now, check this out. I got this story right here out of Wolf Street. So, in closing on this story, they go into why this is not normal. It says, here we go. Listing prices remained supported by low inventory. So they kept listing prices overall. We're talking nationally. Listing prices remain sort of steady. They're saying steady. They're not saying it's rising. They're steady. Supported by low inventory. This next story is going to blow your mind when it talks about this. Although national median list prices dipped seasonally to 425,000, so that means nationally median home prices are falling. They're using the word dipped because that doesn't sound bad. Okay, it's falling now. In October, they went from 430,000 to 425,000. In September, prices in larger metros still showed an upward trend. However, notable is the increasing share of homes with price cuts. There is your massive key. Higher inventory and more price cuts. That is fueling the fire that you have been preparing for. It says, however, notable is the increasing share of homes with price cuts, indicating that sellers' attempts to entice buyers in with a high mortgage rate environment. So now let's move on to this next story. And this I find to be very important. All right, here we go. This story is out of Wolf Street. Home prices fall further. Peak was June of 2022. Demand crashes, price cuts jump, supply and days on market rise. Now, why is June 2022 important? Well, it's because I made and I'm not joking this is not like, hey, look at me. It's the truth. You can go back to the Economic Ninja channel, and you can see in the month of June 2022, I made a video, said we've hit it. We're at the top. It's over from here. And I said, we have hit the peak. And a very famous person in finance, Dave Ramsey, actually came out and said, you are crazy that month. You are crazy if you do not buy a house. because houses never fall in price. They only fell, and this is his words, not mine, for a few months in 2008 and only in a few areas. He's very delusional. He actually knows the truth, but he also said something very similar about the crash in housing and in the dot-com crash of what, 2000 to 2001. So this was a very pivotal time, and that was because rates jumped up just a little bit, and consumer sentiment in the housing market slumped bad in June of 2022. So here we go. It says the national median price of previously owned homes, condos, and co-ops fell to $394,000 in September, which is down by 4.7% from its peak 18 months ago in June of 2022. Now, to give you some scope, this is getting ready to already be, in the next 6 months, larger than the entire 2006 to 2012 housing crisis. And I put those dates because that is how long it took to go from peak to trough, high to low in the housing market. So if you're worried about getting ready for this, or that you're not gonna have time, you do have time, okay? You need to put actionable items in place, or actionable steps in your life right now to get ready for this. But what is most important is that you actually hold on to your credit score. That is what most people fail to do, and that is why there's so few buyers during a housing market crash, because they can't get loans. The banks are like, we're not going to touch you during this market. So it says June is usually the seasonal price peak of the year, but June 2023 was below the peak in June of 2022 for the first time since the housing bust, and prices skidded lower since then. Due to the price plunge last year, in July through September, the median price was up year over year by 2.8%, but that was a lower rate than the 3.2% year over year in August. Now you can see this is a chart dating back to 2013. And just imagine, this is like an EKG of your heart, but this is the housing market. And you could see every single year, based on seasonality, price changes. And this is why I always buy my homes in the month of December, right? I do a buying spree, especially when I was flipping homes. That was the best time, because then I would rehab them and flip them by springtime. And it was great. But you could see up here at the top of the chart where now we have a lower high. Now that might not look like a lot, and people go, oh, that's not that big of a deal. You just give it a year and watch what happens. It's gonna be exciting. It says price reductions have jumped to 37.5% of acting listings in September. 37.5% of all listings in September saw a price drop. So let me ask you this. Type 1 if you think the housing market's super strong. Type 2 if you believe that 37% of housing listings had to see a price reduction. But type 2 if you think the housing market is in correction now. We are moving downwards, and this is only going to get bigger and better. It says this was blowing by the pre-pandemic highs. So it's because the real estate market was already in trouble right before the pandemic. So this number right here, this percentage of price reductions, is blowing past what we were experiencing in 2018 and 2019. As sellers are getting more motivated to sell their homes while buyers have vanished at these prices. It says sales of previously owned condos, houses, and co-ops crashed to a seasonally adjusted annual rate of 3.96 million homes in September. That's the lowest since the depth of the housing bust in 2010. So I don't know how to explain this even better. We are seeing numbers in the housing market that we have not seen since the depths of the housing bust in 2010. Now, the thing is, the only thing that people judge a housing market by, its strength or its illness, its sickness, is prices. But what you have to remember is that is only good until the very last phase of a collapse, and then price falls off a cliff. So we have now put together every single metric needed for a housing collapse. And now the price is already starting to drop. So everything is lined up, and now you're going to see an escalation of the housing price drop. That is why you need to be prepared. By the way, I threw some 80% off links down below. $199 for the real estate crash course, how to prepare right now. If it's not $199, that means it's not 80% off. It says here, the NAR, National Association of Realtors, which is in hot water anyway after this last, I did a video on it, the big judgment against the NAR, or against these certain brokerages, which the NAR is always lobbying for how much they've been pulling in fees. The NAR demands its easy money heroin back from the Fed. It says the Federal Reserve simply cannot keep raising interest rates in light of softening inflation and weakening job gains, whined the NAR chief economist Lawrence Yun. This gentleman is the one that kept telling everyone in 2007, you're crazy not to buy houses, they're never going to drop. He is 100% wrong. He's been 100% wrong in the past, and he should be fired. I hope he's watching this. Lawrence Yun should not be the chief economist of his own household budget. Lawrence Yun has no idea how the Federal Reserve and rising and lowering interest rates affect the housing market. Or he does, and he's straight up lying. Either way, he shouldn't have his job. The industry has gotten hooked on the heroin of Fed's easy money between 2008 and 2022 that caused mortgage rates to plunge below 3% and home prices to inflate to the moon. And now they hate the normalization of interest rates and want their heroin back. You know, it's interesting that Lawrence Yun says stuff like this, and he enjoyed all of this rise in housing. Now he's looking like a fool because he was the ultimate cheerleader, and look at how he speaks now. Now check this out. Actual sales, not seasonally adjusted annual rate, fell. Sales fell 18.9% from the already depressed levels in September of 2022 to 347,000 homes. January and February usually marks the low points of the year. June marks the peak volume and the end of spring season selling. During the second half, sales careen lower. The actual sales data offer a better picture of sales and seasonally than the seasonally adjusted annual rate of sales above. Hold on, I'm blanking out now. That story just dropped off. Sorry. Supply and demand. These homeowners have vanished as both buyers and sellers at the same time. They left the market as buyers and sellers. As a result, there is less churn, and realtors make money off the churn coming and going. And so the National Association of Realtors whines about this situation that is so dire for them. But as far as markets are concerned, with both buyers and sellers gone in equal measure, the balance is still there, but it's just a lot lower. Lower demand, lower supply, lower churn, and less money for realtors. There are a lot of realtors that are going to be walking away from their jobs in the next 6 months. And actually, there already have been a ton of real estate agents that have walked. There are a lot of real estate agent teams that are building up because they're trying to band together, 5 minds are better than one kind of thing. But the fact is, there's no income for them. This market is crashing, and it's crashing fast. And the only difference is, are you going to be ready for it this time? Or are you going to sit on the sidelines like a lot of people did in 2008, 2012? This is the time to take action. Type 3 if you're ready to take action. Type 4 if you're not. It's okay. But the fact of the matter is, if you're ready for this and you're prepared and you have actionable steps that you can take, then that's going to be the difference between you making a lot of money or sitting back and watching someone else do it themselves. I put links down below. That course will literally line out for $199 what you can do right now and to start to identify, and I will teach you how real estate cycles work and what you can do right now to take advantage of this. Because once you see it, you get hungry and you just want more and more. I can't wait to see you guys at the end of 2024 when we start buying up homes. With that being said, the Economic Ninja and the Real Estate Ninja are out.